On the night of June 23, 1991, 23-year-old Denise Huber went missing on her way home in the Californian town of Costa Mesa. This story was strange and looked bad from the very beginning. In this video, we will tell you what really happened on that fateful night. On the evening of June 22nd, Denise had attended a rock concert in Los Angeles with her friend Rob Calvert. After the concert, the pair stopped at a bar where they spent some time. There, Denise and Rob met a mutual acquaintance, Greg Heyer, with whom they talked and drank beer. After parting ways with Greg, Denise and Rob got into Denise's car and headed north. Denise dropped Rob off at his home around 2:30 a.m. and then headed to her parents' home in Costa Mesa, where she planned to spend the night. She had about 18 kilometers, 11 miles, to drive, but she never made it home. Denise had informed her parents that she intended to stay the night, so they were expecting her. When it became clear that Denise had not arrived, they called Rob Calvert, who confirmed he had last seen her at 2:30. Since the drive on the highway should not have taken long, her parents realized something must have happened. By early morning, they called the local police station and reported Denise's suspicious absence. By this time, Denise's car, with a flat right rear tire, had already been found. A police patrol had noticed the empty car parked on the shoulder of the highway with its hazard lights on. Denise Huber had not made it within 5 kilometers, 3 miles, of her home. If she had stayed in the car, the police would have surely found her and helped her call for roadside assistance. However, it seemed she decided to handle the problem on her own. There were phones along the highway, and it was assumed she headed towards one. After a brief inspection of the empty car, the police concluded that no violent actions had occurred inside. The car contained a fairly expensive video camera suggesting that Denise's disappearance was unlikely related to a robbery. The Orange County Sheriff's Department quickly brought in a duty canine handler with a dog, which confidently picked up Denise's trail. The trail was 70 meters, 230 feet long, leading along the highway and suddenly stopping, as if Denise had vanished into thin air. At the point where the trail ended, there were no suspicious signs, no blood drops, no small items, no drag marks, leading to the hypothesis that Denise had gotten into another car. This was the situation at the time when Denise's parents reported her suspicious absence. The story of the rock concert immediately captured the attention of the sheriff's detectives. What was particularly suspicious was that Robert Calvert, with whom Denise had spent the evening of June 22nd, was not her boyfriend. Denise was in an intimate relationship with another young man who couldn't join her that evening, which is why she invited Calvert. Rob Calvert had always liked Denise Huber, his friend's girlfriend, but he claimed he had never tried to show her any romantic attention. The detectives closely scrutinized Calvert, interrogated him, and searched his house, finding nothing suspicious. They suggested he take a lie detector test, which showed that Robert was not lying in his statements about not being involved in Denise's disappearance. The detectives then shifted their suspicions to Gregory Heyer, the young man Denise and Rob had met in the bar after the concert. The working theory became that Greg, after parting with the pair, had followed Denise and, after she parted ways with Rob Calvert, abducted her. Heyer also underwent intense questioning and a lie detector test, which yielded the same result as with Calvert: nothing. But the breakthrough in the investigation came when everyone involved in the search for the missing girl had already despaired of achieving success. It happened on July 9th, 1994, more than 37 months after the girl disappeared. On that day, a certain John Familar offered to sell paint to Jack and Elaine Kurt. Familar ran a small business. He owned a special machine for mixing paints to obtain any color and bought large quantities of base paints from manufacturers. In general, an interested conversation ensued, during which it was revealed that John Familar could sell large quantities of leftover paint for a symbolic amount. So, on July 9th, Jack and Elaine Kurt arrived at the address in a wealthy area of Prescott. It turned out to be the home of Familar's mother, where he had set up a small warehouse. The couple bought the paint they wanted, paid for it, and started to leave. At that moment, Jack, who was behind the wheel, noticed a yellow van parked next to Familar's house. The van was clearly rented. It had a rental company sticker on it, but a bush was growing between the rear wheels, indicating the van had been stationary for a long time. This was strange, as such vehicles are typically rented for short periods. Jack Kurt, looking at the van, mechanically muttered, "This van hasn't moved in many months," and his wife quickly noted down its number. Jack and Elaine left but called a police acquaintance the same day to report the strange van. He quickly checked it in the database and found that the van had been stolen back in February 1994. A patrol was immediately sent to the indicated address and discovered that an electric extension cord led from Familar's mother's house to the back of the stolen van. There was a suspicion that drugs were being cooked in the van, a common practice in the early 90s in the U.S. Following police tactics, a SWAT team stormed the mysterious van. However, neither cooks nor a lab were found inside. It contained barrels of paint and a freezer connected to the power supply. When they opened the freezer, police found garbage bags containing a frozen, naked female body. The victim's hands were cuffed behind her back, her mouth and eyes sealed with duct tape. When the tape was removed from her lips, a gag was found in her mouth. The body was well preserved and fingerprinting was possible. A check against the missing persons database on July 10, 1994, revealed that the body belonged to Denise Huber. The distance from where the girl was abducted to where her body was found was almost 600 kilometers. John Familar's mother's house underwent a thorough search, uncovering items belonging to Denise Huber, her dress from the rock concert, her purse, a hair clip, and other personal items. One of Familar's hammers particularly caught the criminologist's attention. Although it had been carefully cleaned, micro traces of blood matching Denise Huber's DNA were found on it. A forensic examination of the girl's body showed that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. Denise had been struck over 30 times with a hammer. The imprints of the hammer's striking surface were left on her scalp, confirming that the hammer with Denise's blood found earlier was the murder weapon. Naturally, John Familar was arrested. But, unfortunately, there was no sensational confession. He refused to explain anything and declined to testify. To this day, he has not changed his position and has said nothing about Denise Huber's abduction and murder. Among Familar's belongings, a receipt for the purchase of the freezer in which Denise Huber's body was found was discovered. This allowed law enforcement to learn the address where the freezer had been delivered, a large warehouse in California that Familar rented for his paint business. Despite not confessing and refusing to testify, John Familar was tried in California and in June 1997 was sentenced to death. The question of whether Denise Huber was his only victim remains open to this day. The story of John Familar's exposure is an excellent illustration of how His Majesty Chance sometimes intervenes in criminal investigations in the most unexpected ways. Denise Huber's abductor would likely never have been found if Jack Kurt hadn't noticed the van with acacia shoots growing between its wheels. And if you found this video insightful, don't hesitate to give it a like and share it with others who might find it interesting. Every like, share, and subscription goes a long way in supporting our channel. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.